we are. All right, so we're going to chat a little bit, just the two of us, until
Okay.
people join us, because there's a little delay, like you
Okay.
saw when we were testing. So, tell me about Palm Springs. When are you going?
We're going the end of June.
Wow, we'll be hot.
Yes, it will be.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think he has a whole plan.
What are you going to do
This
there?
is like the third time. We're going to golf.
Mm.
We're going to go on an architecture tour, which I'm super excited
That
about.
sounds like
because
fun.
all the mid-century architecture. And they're really tiny tours. It's like 2 to 4 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
And these people who live there take you around, and you actually get to go in some of the houses. So I'm
Oh,
super excited
wow.
about
Oh,
that.
that is really fun.
They show you like Frank Sinatra's first house.
Oh,
and-
how neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And then just laying by the pool
Oh, that sounds good.
if I'm not in the hospital.
Well, from the heat stroke. Yeah, no, I hear you. We're leaving on, who do we have? Hi, Mai. We're leaving next Tuesday, and I'm going for 2 weeks. So I'm very excited.
Oh, I would be too.
I know. Well, yeah, but right now, I'm not excited necessarily yet, because right now I'm having the stress of all of the
Right.
things I need to do. I've got to
Right.
wash this, and I need to pack this and buy this. And we were trying to get together, because
Yeah,
here
like
we
a
go.
chair to
Okay, all right, Michelle is there. Christina, hi, Joy. Okay, good. So we're getting our little group is starting to hi there, Claudette and Jackie. I almost can't see. Roxana, good. So I'm Karen Cooper. This is my friend Laura Walsh. Laura is with Remax Premier, and I've known Laura for a really long time. And the reason I wanted to talk to Laura today is because we've been talking a lot about client parties, things to do this summer. Client parties are great to do in the summer, but a lot of people don't do them. I know myself, it took me years and years before we finally did one. And I think it's because we make it a really big deal. And so it can be a big deal, but what I love that Laura does is Laura does something different. So tell us what you do. You do a lot of kind of smaller scale ones.
Yeah, I mean, it was an evolution, definitely. When I got into the business, there were almost no one did anything.
Right.
And the agents who did, they did all huge events.
Right.
Like Sherry Wilson.
Yes,
did
we
this
did a
big
huge event with a
picnic
balloon
right.
and everything.
And some of the agents I knew did giant Christmas parties.
Mm-hmm.
They were thousands and thousands of dollars. You had to have a lot of people in your database.
Right.
And it was really daunting to a newer agent.
Mm-hmm.
But also because I think we all tend to do what others do in this business.
Right.
My mindset was, well, that's the expectation that
Yeah.
people have, and that's what you have to do.
Right.
So I didn't do anything for a long time because I didn't have the money or the
Right.
people to do it with.
Right.
And then I started doing like my own Christmas parties just at my house, but I have a little tiny house.
Okay.
So when it got to be 100 people,
It was a little too
and
much.
we were like this,
Right.
yeah, then I was like, oh, this isn't working anymore.
Right.
In the meantime, something else happened along the way. One of my clients,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we've all probably had a situation like this where you are, you get embroiled in their lives.
Uh-huh.
And I became very close to this person.
Uh-huh.
And when the deal was done, it's not that I didn't want to keep in touch with her. And
Right.
this is pre-Buffini.
Yeah, okay.
When they were forcing that mindset
Right.
of doing that. And I mean, I liked her very much, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to stay in touch with her. But again, I was in that mindset of, well, I'm going to have this big thing. I'm going to try to do this big thing
Right.
once a year, and
Right.
that's what I'll do. And she ran into a mutual acquaintance, and they said, have you seen Laura? And she said, no, she just kind of dropped me.
Oh.
And that really hurt, 'cause I
Yeah,
didn't
because
drop
that
her.
wasn't your intention. Right.
Right.
Interesting.
And I started thinking about it then, but
Oh,
it took
wow.
a long time to start formulating what worked.
Yeah.
And I do bigger events still too. Harry Potter was like a bonanza for movies. I used to do that. And
So you
invite
would do the
everybody.
movie, invite people to
Right,
the movies.
right.
So I've heard different versions of the movie, and that was one of the things I had on my list. So I've heard, you can like meet them in the lobby with a ticket, or go and rent it as a group. How did you do that?
I rented it as a group.
Okay.
The first year I did it, and this is something I wanted to say too, don't be afraid to participate with other agents. Especially if you're a newer agent and you've got 100 people in your database and you know 2 or 3 other agents that do
Yeah.
as well. You can get a good crowd, you can defray some of the cost.
That's a great idea.
You can get some of your vendors to participate
Right.
for some of these bigger things.
And the attendees don't necessarily know or differentiate
Right.
who
They could
is,
care less.
if it's your client or someone else's, they don't necessarily know. It just looks like this great event.
Yeah,
That's
the
a
only
great
thing I will tell you is that a lot of times when you rent the theater,
Uh-huh.
you have to do it early.
Okay.
So that was always kind of funny because it was like a 9 o'clock in the morning.
And the morning movie. Oh, okay.
And you're handing out, popcorn and stuff
Right.
at 9 o'clock in the morning, but no one really seemed to care.
Okay.
It's just hard to find a movie that fits for everybody.
Right.
And that's why Harry Potter was like a bonanza.
Yeah.
And then she had the nerve to stop writing books and
And then now
They
you don't
were
have
like-
any more,
yeah,
and they were
so,
that idea. So now we need a new movie.
Yeah, yeah. So it started sort of evolving from that, but I still found that stressful
Yes.
and expensive.
Yes.
And then when I started doing it just on my own,
Right.
it was
It's really
expensive.
Right.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. It wasn't that bad to rent the theater. I want to say it was like $1,300 or $1,400.
That's not bad.
But then everything you do on top of it, because you've got to feed them something. You've
Right.
got to, I'd have like a little goodie bag and
Right.
that kind of thing. So anyway, it just started, like I said, over the years I would think, what could I do that is a little bit less stressful and a little more personal? Because the other thing I think about big events is most of our clients don't know each other.
Right.
So
Right.
then they're in a position of, I've got to go to this thing and I've got to mingle
And I don't
with
know
a bunch of
anybody.
people I don't know.
Right.
Which to me is like my worst
Well,
nightmare.
mine too,
Yeah,
right? We're
yeah.
very similar in that way. So, I hate those kind of events. And so I always think the same with my clients,
Right.
that they're not going to like it either, because
Right.
who wants to mingle with a bunch of people you don't know?
So a few years ago, I saw actually on Facebook, there was a yoga instructor and they were doing some events at different wineries and doing yoga and wine. And I just went, well, why couldn't I do that at my office?
So smart.
So that's something else too to think about. A lot of us have these office spaces that we don't take advantage of.
Right.
And we have a lovely office, and I've got plenty of room to do some things. So I Facebook messaged this instructor and said, would you be willing to do this at my office? Maybe once a month, I'll pay you. And she came back and was like, sure.
That's fantastic.
And we started doing that. And it brings in usually, I mean, we've grown out of the training room out into
Right.
the hallway now, but it can go anywhere from 8 to 20 people.
Wow. So do you invite the same people over and over again? Do you tell different people?
I
How
have
do
a
you do that?
little core of people
Okay.
who I know I can depend on to come.
Yep.
So they're always on the list, and then I shift that list so that I'm getting newer clients, older clients I haven't
right,
seen
yeah.
in a while, and I think that's important to do because it's really easy and comfortable
Yeah.
to have the same people all the time.
Of course
that
it
you
is.
like.
Yes.
So one of the benefits, going back to what we were just talking about, of this is that my clients are getting to know each other now.
Right.
In a small setting, that's no pressure because there's an activity.
I love that.
And then afterwards, it's just a natural segue, and I just come in with like a couple of bottles of wine, some soda, some water, some hummus, nothing elaborate.
Yeah.
The whole thing probably costs me, it's less than $200 every month.
Wow. That's amazing.
And they're all getting friendly, they're
Yeah.
all starting to know each other. So now I feel like when I do bigger things, there's a comfort level there, and they're
Right.
more apt to come because
Right.
I can say, well, so-and-so's going to be there.
Oh,
and they're
right.
like,
So you
"Oh,
kind of
okay."
built like this own little community within
Right.
your database.
Right.
So how do you do that? So you have the little yoga class, you have a little bit of munchies, a little bit of wine. Do you talk first? Do you have any kind of a presentation?
No, I
or
don't
you
want
just,
it to be
yeah.
salesy or make them feel like, oh gosh, I've got to go listen to the timeshare
Listen to the spiel before.
presentation.
Yeah.
So no, this is strictly client appreciation, and sometimes people try to pay me for it, and I'll say, no, this is my treat as a thank you
Yeah.
for your business, and
Yeah.
and just because I like being with you, I
Yeah.
got to spend so much time with you, and then it's just.
It
It ends, and
Yeah.
this is a great way for me to see people.
To keep that going. Do men and women come to the yoga class?
I've had a couple of men threaten recently to come, and they would be more than welcome. But so far, it's pretty
It's
much
just
been
been
all
women.
women.
Okay.
And that is another thing you have to be careful with because a lot of the things that come to mind,
Yeah.
and I do think women are a little bit more social too.
Sure.
So a lot of the things that come to mind sometimes are lady oriented.
Right. That's true.
But I think I'm going to do in August. I think I'm just going to do a little event at Topgolf.
Oh.
And Topgolf can be expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the way I figured what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rent a bay and figure out how many people I can get into that
Fit into the
bay.
bay. Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that I've got some guys there so I
Yeah.
get some of my guy clients.
There you go.
And we'll have a limited time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be an hour or two.
Yes.
So it's not going to break the bank. The
Yeah.
bays actually are not very expensive.
Well, they're not. We did one for a team event last year, and I think we rented maybe 2 bays, and they actually did some food, and I don't remember that being terribly expensive either. So,
Right.
what I love that you do, and why I wanted to talk about it, is that you do small groups, and I think that takes some of the fear away from doing it. You don't have to worry as much about the expense because you're doing a small scale, and it's something different. How many times do we get invited to happy hours and this,
Right.
and so
Well,
I
you know,
like that
like,
you're doing different.
My old partner Gail and I used to always do a big cocktail party too.
Mhm.
That cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then a Christmas party, and then
Right.
and I just felt like, again, I felt a lot of stress because I felt
Mhm.
like I had to touch every single person.
Right.
I felt like I felt a lot of pressure when I would look and see my more introverted clients standing off to themselves.
Yeah.
Then I would feel the pressure of going over and spending more time with them. I just felt like it was a lot of stress. And
Right.
like I said, I still do some of the bigger things.
Mhm.
But to me, this was a way to start building up to that. And again,
Right.
a side benefit has been that these people are starting to know each other, which when I do larger things now, it takes the pressure
Yes,
off of
because
that.
they're coming and they're a solid base that you can depend on
Right.
to be there. I love that. One of the things, kind of like what you were talking about, including with your male and female clients, we, in fact, we have our winery event tonight, but we also do a breakfast with Santa in December. And so the idea was, we knew that some of our clients were going to like breakfast with Santa, but not everybody's going to like that because not everybody has young kids or
Right.
grandkids. And
Right.
so we wanted to be able to kind of balance out the activities. And so I
Right.
like that you're doing that. Didn't you do a cooking class one
We've done
time?
all sorts of fun things. We've done a cooking class. I've done taken some of my younger lady clients with small kids and taken them to the nail salon and said, you can have a basic manicure pedicure.
Oh, how cute.
And that's the other thing. I don't think you should be afraid to limit yourself or
Yeah.
put boundaries on things.
Mm-hmm.
People understand, and again, you're doing this as an appreciation thing, not
Right.
as a salesy kind of thing.
Right.
So when I send out the little thing, I'll just say, hey, know you're bogged down with the kids so much of the time, and thought this would be a fun way for us to see each other. My treat for a basic mani-pedi, if you want to upgrade, that's on you, kind of thing.
I love that.
And then we'll go to Tuskie's and have a glass of wine
Yeah.
and some appetizers. And I usually put a pretty definitive time.
Yes.
I don't on yoga because we all tend to run our mouths
Right.
and stay there for a long time. Like
Right.
yoga ends and we're there like another 2 hours
Wow.
just yammering.
Because it's just become comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on that kind of thing, that's not the night you want to find out when you're at Tuskie's that one of your clients can drink their weight in
Yeah.
Jameson's or something, and
Right.
you've got a
So you want to put a limit on
600
that.
buck
Yeah.
bill at the end of the night. Yeah, so I'll say, we're going to go over there. This whole thing is from 7 to 9 or whatever, and then I cut it off.
I love that.
So we've done that. We've done cooking classes. Trying to think of some of the other things that we've done. I'll have to look at my little list. Oh, I want to do the batting cages. I think that'll be fun.
That's a fun idea.
I've done ladies' nights, and again, time limit, and
Yeah.
I find those are more fun spontaneously.
Ah,
My husband travels a lot, so if I know I'm going to have a week
right.
where I'm going to have a couple of nights, I'll shoot out an email. And again, I try to make sure to include people I haven't seen in a while. The other benefit of this is that even if people can't come, they like being invited.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that we talk about a lot too. Is I feel like even if they don't come, it's still a win that they got the invitation from you because they hear from you. They know that you're thinking of them. And so I think that's like a little extra win that you get whether or not they come or not. That was one of my things to mention is you should always over invite because
Yes.
I find you often get far fewer than what you think you are because everybody's got things going on. So even if you're inviting 300 people, you might only get 100 who come
Right.
or 75 who come.
Right, and you're not usually at the top of, your event is not at the top of someone's
Well,
list
sure.
a lot of times.
Sure.
So if their schedule changes or
Right.
something, and that's what I do with yoga too. And we've gotten surprised a couple of times, and everybody's shown up, and but that's been okay. We just adapt, and
Right.
it's
If,
all right.
if that's the worst case scenario, that's a good problem.
I also like supporting women-owned businesses.
Yes. Yes.
So we've done a thing at Best Rack Around. I invited.
Is that the bra fitting place?
Yeah. I invited 6 ladies, and we did a bra fitting.
That's awesome.
And I brought in champagne and little hors d'oeuvres and things like
That's
that.
so awesome.
And it benefited them. Everybody bought something.
Wow.
They had fun.
Yeah.
Most people found out they were wearing the wrong size bra.
So you didn't pay for their bra, right? You just paid for the fitting and for the little food.
No, because it's really funny. One of my clients thought we would all be parading around topless in front of each other.
No.
I was like,
no.
I don't want to see you naked.
No.
I don't.
That's too funny.
Yeah, but she was all upset. She called me and she was like, I would love to fit a bra, but I don't want to be naked in front of a bunch of people. I was like,
funny.
yeah, I don't either. So
That's
come
funny.
on.
So I love how creative you are. I mean, these are things I would never. I mean, right, Melissa?
Yeah.
Melissa's here doing our she's our director again. But I would never think to do like bra fittings or yoga classes or. I mean, it's so fun to think of doing some different things.
What I do is when I'm out and about, if I go into a store and I'm taken with it, or I find out it's a woman-owned business, I'll just go up to the owner and say, hey, how can we support each other? What can we do?
Awesome.
I'm thinking about doing a little crawl in Leesburg and maybe going back to Best Rack Around because some people didn't get to come that wanted to. They opened up a new little coffee shop, bakery next door. There's a nail salon on the other side.
So you can hit all the little places.
Yeah, and maybe doing something like that.
I love that.
I also don't think you should be shy about asking your clients to pitch in for different things. You can make it seem less like an event and more like just something that they're doing with you.
To get together, I see.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like Salamander had for Kentucky Derby Day. They had a great buffet, and then they had the screen set up. And it was $20 a person.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that is good.
And so I put the whole thing together.
Right.
And I invited clients and friends in that case.
Yeah.
And said, hey, you guys can just pay me back for the ticket.
Uh-huh.
But I still got all of these people together.
Together, right.
It was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Nobody blinked an eye.
I love that.
And, I mean, it was $20.
So how
and
often...
I would have even paid for that too. It just, it started... it started as friends,
right,
and then sort of started evolving as people started hearing about it,
right,
and that's when some of the clients started coming in, and I was like, okay, well, everybody pay for themselves. And
so it sounds like you're doing things like monthly or more frequently sometimes. Okay, so that's.
I don't have a set schedule.
Yeah,
we try to do the yoga and wine monthly. We don't do it around the holidays. And we had a schedule snafu this month, so we didn't do it this month, but we'll start it back up next month. Try not to be too rigid.
Yeah.
And just sort of come along with, like I said, with, businesses that we see. My assistant, Amazing Grace, is always out looking too, and she'll call and say, hey, I went into this store, and this is great.
I love that.
I think another good idea is all of these things, taking someone else's event and making it your own.
Yes.
Like those paint and sip things.
Right.
I saw one on Facebook this morning, and I just bought a bunch of tickets. It was a terrarium, and they give you it's a really pretty glass terrarium and wine and the supplies, and you come and do it. So I bought 6 tickets, and I was like, I'm just going to shoot it out and say,
I love
there's
that.
6 people, and.
So that's another question. So then do you mail invitations, or sounds like you're maybe emailing?
I do email. I do Eventbrite or whatever, those
depending
things.
on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I love this. So I love the small scale events. We've done bigger scale events. We do the Breakfast with Santa, which we like because our clients now have kind of gotten, we've done ours 2
it's like
now.
A tradition
And
now.
so it's like a tradition, and it's fun, and then it gives us a pop by afterwards. So we hire a photographer to take pictures, and then we pick one and we frame it, and then we deliver it to their house after. So we get like a little bonus, a little extra. And so that's always fun, and that's not horribly expensive. And then we do our winery event. We have that tonight at a local winery. Everybody will go home with a bottle of wine, and it's just a nice way to kind of hit more of the adults, and plus our vendors. So we invite our lenders and our title partners and those kind of people too, so that we can kind of show our appreciation. And so that's been working. I'm glad you mentioned the movies. I've definitely heard of people doing that before. A baseball game. Somebody was talking about that last week when we had the monthly meetup. You can get tickets to a baseball game and give them out, or
and something like the Frederick Keys.
I was just going to say,
is much more cost effective than trying to take
or the
a bunch of people
Percival
to a Nats game. Or,
So a small, if you have a local, depending on where you are, if you have a local, what is that called? It's not a pro. It's a minor league team. That can be a great way to do that. AAA. Barbecue housewarming parties. Have you ever done housewarming parties?
I have not, and I have been giving that a little bit of thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's weird or intrusive to people, and that's kind of what
I think too.
That's kind of what has stopped me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's weird to call up and say, "Hey, I want to give you a party in your house."
Yeah.
And I want to be there so I can meet your friends, because that to me feels less client appreciation-y and more salesy.
Right. Right.
to me. So on my ones, I just try to focus more on the client appreciation
Right.
and hope that that comes back to me.
To you. Yeah, which it will.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think it depends on, we're similar in personality, so that the housewarming party would never work for me. Carmel Shea, I know, did one, and she had good success. You don't, I've read about these too. You don't have to stay if you're going to do a housewarming party. You know, you can, like you said, like, I would never stay. Like, you set up, and then you, like, introduce it, congratulations, and then you, like, head out the door.
Right.
And then it doesn't have to be that kind of weird thing. But there's so many options, there's so many things to do. One thing that we do is we do 2 rounds of invitations, because you also, when you're doing kind of a larger event, we want to make sure that it's not too huge, but we also want to kind of balance that. So we do a first and second round of invitations. Mm-hmm. So the first round goes out, and then as those RSVPs start to come in, or we hear that people can't go, then we'll do a second round.
I do that
just
even
to
with
help.
the smaller ones too. Because, sometimes if you're only going to do something with 4 people,
right,
and 2 people bail,
sure, right.
So it's always good to have a backup plan.
Absolutely.
So that you've got enough participation.
Absolutely.
And, so that's always a good idea.
So who has questions? I know somebody had commented on the post this morning that she was looking for some ideas. I think it was Heather, if I remember correctly, and she's doing something next week. So if anybody has any questions about client parties or what to do, we can certainly answer those questions for you. But really, we just wanted to kind of get across the message today that it doesn't have to be a big thing.
Right.
You can be creative. You can do something different.
You can tie it into charity,
yes,
too, which is a nice way to get started that maybe won't make you feel too weird.
Yes.
I'm going to do, in lieu of yoga and wine night in September, we're going to do out in the parking lot. The yoga instructor is also a Beachbody coach, and she was telling me about this workout that they do, which is kind of like country line dancing.
I've heard of this. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get my group. I want them to invite people, which is a benefit.
That's a benefit to you, absolutely.
I want them to bring stuff for Loud and Hunger.
Perfect.
And we're gonna do it out in the parking lot.
How fun!
In September.
How fun!
And I'm gonna try to get same thing, like some of the title companies and lenders and some people to sponsor, and so that it's a little bit bigger.
Right.
But again, it's not necessarily blatantly for my benefit.
Right.
Because Loud and Hunger is one of my favorite things
Sure.
to support. So,
absolutely.
but that takes a little pressure off of you if you're in that spot where you feel like it would be awkward.
Right.
And people will think you're being salesy or whatever. And that's a nice way to maybe dip your toe in and get it started.
Yeah.
And you will sometimes have people respond to your invitations and think you are trying. Like, I had a client who I got along with great. She sent me this nice note, and she said, "Thanks for the invitation to all your events, but I'm not looking to sell my house."
Oh, they don't understand.
Right. And I had to say, I just wrote her a nice note back and
yes.
said, "Yeah, that's okay, and I just want you to come. This is just something I do." So I can keep in touch with you because I enjoyed your company.
Yes.
And as an appreciation for your trust and your business. And then she sent me a little note back and said, "Oh my gosh, I feel bad." And and then she did actually come to something.
That's, what, I love that you said that, because I've had that experience a couple times too. Someone who I've delivered a pop by to or done something, and they're like, "Yeah, but we're not moving." Well,
right.
Like
when they see
it
you
doesn't
coming,
matter that I know.
Shade down.
Right. And so do we need to do a better job sometimes in explaining that we're not just showing up at your door, or we're not just inviting you because we think you're going to sell your house again next month. It's because we just genuinely want to show that we appreciate you. And so I think the more that you do that, and then the more that you make referrals part of your business, and the more that you talk about that, then I think they understand. Because it's interesting when people have that perspective. We would never even imagine.
Right. Well, and I think also what I'm going to start doing is maybe an email at the end of every transaction. Just saying, I'm always a resource for you. And by the way, I frequently have client appreciation events. And so don't be surprised when you get your invitation. It's a great way for me to stay in touch with the people I enjoy.
That's a great
idea. I look forward to seeing you.
That is a terrific idea. We were, Roxana, we were just talking about that last month, about putting together some kind of either an email or a postcard saying you're now part of our client appreciation program. Just to let them know. Yeah, you cannot get rid of us. Unless you're really mean. Then you can get rid of us. That's good. So I covered my list. And look, we're perfect. We're like we're almost 30 minutes. minutes, so we're just about right. Any questions pop up that we need to talk about? I think we've got Vanessa, Vanessa Maddox. She's saying hi, Laura.
Hello.
Oh, and she likes your client appreciation event. So, so that's
She's
really
my girl.
There you go. So that's all we had to. Yeah, Vanessa does the live from the minivan.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Hi, Vanessa. So
I've been in the minivan. It's scary.
I saw you in the minivan. So that's what we had to cover for today. So I hope that this was helpful, and we're going to save this and leave it in the group. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Laura, how can people reach you?
They could email me at laura@laurawalshhomes.com, or you can call. Can I give my number?
Sure, you can give your first.
I don't know.
Yes.
If you want to get it, don't stalk. 703-217-4844.
That's awesome. And I'm Karen Cooper, and I'm the owner of the Platinum Group Real Estate Team at Pearson Smith Realty. And you can reach me anytime at Karen@goplatinumgroup.com. Bye.
Bye.